Eric with you. Thanks for joining me. I wanted to speak to you today about a topic that I think is going to be very beneficial. It's going to answer a lot of your questions, mostly regarding your children's behavior, how they are acting. This should clarify a lot with you. It's regarding a part of the brain called the prefrontal cortex, the front part of the brain. The brain actually develops from the back forward, so the prefrontal cortex is the last part of the brain that fully develops, and it usually does not fully develop until about the age of 25. Yes, you heard me right. Until your child, until they grow up, I know this is hard to believe, but they will, when they get to 25, around 25, that's when that prefrontal cortex will be fully developed. And the prefrontal cortex is arguably the most important part of the brain, mostly due because look at its functions. Its functions are, and there's several, I wrote the major ones here. It's the problem solving part of the brain. It's the part of the brain where we plan and organize. Our memory and retention, all from the prefrontal cortex. Our focus, our ability to pay attention, prefrontal cortex. Being able to control our impulses. This is a big one. Impulses, controlling the impulses, again, these all happen, these are all functions of the prefrontal cortex. And even to have our personalities fully developed, again, stems from the prefrontal cortex. And just again, to make sure you heard me right, this is not until 25 years old that this part of the brain is fully matured. So you can see all these functions. Now just think of your child, controlling their impulses, their memory, problem solving. Think of your child and all the frustrations you may have with them. But I want you to remember, though, that this part of the brain is still developing. So they do not necessarily have the capability of controlling these functions yet until they're 25. Now, to go a step further, and again, I'm sure you're more than well aware of many of these, but just think how this can affect children as they're growing up. If they do not have total control of the prefrontal cortex, their perceptions, they can have a lot of difficulty trying to feel empathy or just their feelings in general from a different perception other than their own. It's not because they're selfish. Again, it's because that part of the brain is still maturing. Now, this is not to give children a free ride. I mean, they definitely still have to be aware. We have to be there and speak to them about these types of issues. But just so you are also, when you're going through this with your child, or if problems are repeating themselves or are having repetitive problems, just to know that this part of the brain is still maturing will hopefully put your mind at ease. So perception, they have difficulty looking at things from different perceptions. Again, their impulses, they can have a lot of difficulty controlling their impulses as they're growing up. Hopefully that happens before they're 25, but again, it's still developing. Again, we talked about it up here, but their ability to pay attention, it can be very trying during these years as they're maturing. They're very concrete thinkers at this time too. Everything is black and white. They have difficulty maybe thinking analytically at this point. And even and this this can be scary, but when your children get into those teenage years, some of them part of the prefrontal cortex, usually the middle part of it, can start to redevelop again. So maybe some of the behaviors that they went through when they were maybe a toddler or adolescent can start to surface again because their prefrontal cortex during the teenage years can redevelop. So that can be very scary to think about. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention, that children they're going through so much, so many different stages of development, but the big number that whoop, my marker doesn't work here. The big number is 25. The prefrontal cortex is not fully developed till 25. So I hope that helps you maybe when you're teaching your children, or you're getting frustrated with certain behaviors. Just keep this in the back of your mind. Maybe it'll give you a little bit more patience with your child. And yeah, very interesting though. I hope that helps you. I would love it if you could like this video. I'm just trying to get this type of information out to help more and more parents. I'm going to be making a lot more videos with very interesting information, helpful information to parents again as they're raising their children for their health and wellness. So if you'd like to subscribe, that would be awesome. And I will be talking to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.